In this tutorial, we're going to go over a few of the property settings in the AutoPAD software. So you can see here that we've set up a very simple design. There are two circles connected by a rectangular channel. What we're going to do is we're going to discuss some of these property settings in the bottom property panel here. So, for instance, if we select this circle here, we can look at our spacing setting. Now, spacing is how far away an object is in addition to its usual distance from its parent. So, for instance, if we set the spacing here to 5 and go ahead and set space, we can see that the circle is moved further away from the end of the rectangle where it normally is. In fact, we've actually disconnected these channels. Now, if we look at the perpendicular option here, this is actually the spacing in the other direction, not necessarily backwards, but in this case vertically instead of horizontally. So for instance, it's easier to see this. If I set the perpendicular space to 5, you can see that this circle moves down in the direction perpendicular to its regular connection axis. And in addition, if I set the perpendicular space to -5, it goes up the other way. And we can do the same negative thing with the regular spacing feature and move it all the way over here. So these actually give you total control of the position of any object. So if for any reason it's not in the right place or you want to give it more room, you can use the spacing and perpendiculars feature to push them around. So I'm just going to set it back in its regular space by putting both of these to 0. And I want to look at this precision feature that we have here. So with this circle selected, if I go ahead and make it precise, we can see that it moved here. Now what happened here? So precise is a feature that changes the way that circles and rectangles interact with each other. Normally, when you make a rectangle coming off of a circle, it begins at the center point of the circle. And if you make a circle coming off of a rectangle, it begins at its center point begins at the end point of the rectangle. However, with precise, what happens is that the circle begins at the end of the rectangle such that the edge of the circle begins at the end rather than the center of the circle. So what this means is that if I make both of these circles precise, then this distance that the rectangle travels is actually its full length rather than being less than its full length, because it's no longer center point to center point, it's end point to end point. So now this rectangle is its full 10 millimeter length. Precision is useful for making sure that the distance between that certain channels run is very accurate, making sure that it's exactly the distance that you want them to be, rather than being less than the set distance because some of the space is eaten up by the circle. And another feature we're going to go over quickly is this extra setting. So extra is extra white space to give in the design. So for instance, if I select this circle and give it an extra of 1, then we can see that the size of our design increased slightly when I did that. So giving it extra is like giving it a buffer, but without actually drawing the buffer. So for instance, if I wanted to, when we put these on a PDF and print them out, the designs are tiled. If I want to have more space between each design, I can just go ahead and select some objects and give them a lot of extra, and now more space will be between each design in the sheet. So that's another useful feature.